Ladies and gentlemen, pick up on our first set of notes where we stopped in class, where we were graphing the f function and its inverse. And if we continue down this page on your, you get to a question that we did address in class, and I just want to reiterate right now. It says, is the inverse of the linear function a function? So we talked about this in class, and the answer was yes, because it passes the vertical line test still. Every x value corresponds to exactly one y value. X value corresponds to exactly one y value. But if we look at the quadratic, it's not a function. The quadratic, the inverse, this blue inverse, does not pass the vertical line test. So if we look at the value of 4, the x value of 4 corresponds to 2 y values. We've got 4 as one coordinate, and then 4, 3 as another coordinate. And we did talk about in our next set of notes about the function needing to be one-to-one in order to have an inverse, and we'll get back to that in just a moment. But continuing on with this first set of notes, let's talk about application of inverses and ways that we might see it. So if you look at this word problem at the bottom and you read through it, you're asked to write an equation for the price of a long distance phone call in terms of minutes. So I'm going to call that P of M, the price in terms of minutes. Well, it costs $1.50 no matter what to make the connection, and then 10 cents for every minute. So we have a linear equation. When you get the phone bill, you see that your sister made a phone call that the price was $2.75, and you're asked to figure out, well, how many minutes is that? Pardon the bell. Well, when we work backwards and solve this equation, we subtract off $1.50 and divide by 10 cents, and we end up that this was a 12 and a half minute phone call. 12-and-a-half-minute phone call. Now in part C, it says, think about how you solved part B. Write an example to determine M in terms of P. What we're doing here is thinking about inverses. If I am undoing this equation, I first subtract 150. So I take the price and I subtract 150. We took the 275 and then we subtracted the 150. And then I have to divide by 10 cents a minute. So I divide by 10 cents a minute. And this is minutes broken down by the price. And this is the inverse of the original function. Now if you look at the back part of the notes, remember I asked that you finish all of this by Monday or Tuesday of next week whenever I see you for pre. You need to work on finding inverses. And here's some practice on finding inverses. The instructions aren't here for 13 and 16, but you need to find the inverse and verify. Well, what do I mean when I say and verify? I need you to check that the inverse, the composition of the inverse and the original function is equal to x. And I also need you to check the other way. We need to check both ways because there are some instances, mainly instances you'll see in calculus, where that's not the same. So the inverse also needs to equal, the composition of the inverse and the original function also needs to equal x. So make sure you verified both ways, and then for 17 and through 20, just follow the direct page. Thank you.